I started at F5. Officially, I started in December of '98. I got hired on as a contractor for 30 days. And my job was basically sticking stickers on the back of big IPs. So I worked for Sherry Fuller, who now works over at sales. Had a 30-day contract. My 30-day contract ran out. Thought I was all done here. I was getting ready to actually, I had been a Honolulu police officer before for 12 years. So I was getting ready to go to the Seattle Police Department, so had worked here just temporarily. My contract ran out, but F5 called me back a week later and said, would you like a full-time job? So I saw what was happening here at F5. It was during the internet craze that was going on, and I decided to forego going to the Seattle Police Department, and I took the job here at F5.
I think there was probably about 200 people when I started, so that was in '99, and we weren't even in this building. We were up the street at a different building. So when I started, we were just starting the marketing department, and they really didn't. My degree is in graphic design, and they didn't even have a design position. I got hired as a marketing specialist. So there was myself, I shared a cube with a writer, we had an events person, and then a director of marketing, and that's all we had starting out.
Well, when we started, we were marketing was squished in a little room, and this was 2 or 3 buildings ago, right? And I remember just sitting there with our webmaster, all of marketing, and even Andy Ryland, who's now our CFO, sat in the corner room in the office nearby, and we were one big happy family.
It was wild horses and just get her done, and it was a lot of fun.
The support for our product and where we were putting the product together and stuff was all in this one room. So we had boxes piled up and big IPs there, and we were doing everything ourselves, putting little stickers on the product, putting them together. That was our manufacturing plant.
When I came up at 200 First Avenue West, we just kind of hoped somebody would close the door when they left, because all the doors were propped open. There was no security system.
The whole development team could meet in one small office, you know, and discuss what we were going to do, and then just walk out of that room and do it. And now that we're much bigger, it's changed quite a bit. I kind of miss that.
My first cube was on the First Avenue building. I had the worst cube in the building. It was right by the entrance. I was on the floor where it was 98 to 99 degrees in there, and I had the cubicle right by the doorway where everybody came in and out, and liked to hold hallway conversations about various things. It was interesting because I got to learn about a lot of different people there and see a lot of familiar faces. It wasn't so good for getting work done.
My office was kind of an afterthought. I walked in and we were occupying some cube space over on 200 First West, and nobody really realized that I was showing up that day. And I walked in, and the guy that was building the big IPs was also the IT department and also the welcome wagon. And he looked around, saw a cube, put me in it, said, how about this one? And I got in that cube and I said, I need a monitor. And he looked around to the other cubes and saw one that wasn't being used, and I think it was Joe Hicks's monitor, and he just grabbed it and he said, well, this guy's never here, he's out in the field, take this one. And that was my monitor. So then I asked the couple engineers that I was working with. One was Tom Key. I said, hey Tom, I need to get a development box going. And he said, well, yeah, there's some PC equipment over here. Why don't you put it together, figure it out? And then I found out later that I had set the record by getting my dev box up and running within a week.
The first day here was a bit of a culture shock for me, because I had worked in the suburbs pretty much my whole professional career. And so when I got here that morning, and there were a couple guys riding an office chair with 3 wheels on it down the back alley and having a good old time.
One of my first jobs was I was in charge of what was called the Candy Jar program. And here at F5, we've always, been really focused on the customer. So this program was, if anybody bought one of our products, we would send them a jar with an F5 logo on it and a bag of candy. And then every month after that, we would give them a new bag of candy to fill up their jar. It was a very popular program. One month we were sending out gummy bears for the Candy Jar program, and it was in the summer. It was like August or something like that. So I got all these phone calls the next week, where's my candy, where's my candy? And so we were looking up the FedEx records, and it looked like things were going out. About a week after that, I got this package back from FedEx, and the candy had got stuck on the tarmac in Tennessee. It was 100-degree weather, and the gummy bears melted. So what I got back was a brick of gummy bears, and people didn't get their candy. So we had to quickly scramble and send something out that wouldn't melt.
The systems, the electrical, the HVAC in that building were probably not up to speed for F5 and our computer use.
Each of us had a rack with a bunch of big IPs in it and a bunch of servers and a development machine. And we'd plug them all in the middle of summer, the power would go out.
And when one of them went down, they all went down.
The building was never made, never conceived that they would have that much power requirements there.
And so I would get called and I would run and find Ken, the super. And I remember one time he went into the electrical closet and he said, I'm not sure which one it is. And so we started flip all the way down through our entire electrical panel. So even people who had not lost power then did. And I could hear screams.
There was one customer that had sort of paid for the product, well, had paid some money for the product. It was Tower Records. It was the very first actually paying customer for it, and they had a grand total, I think, of 3 Macs that were sitting under somebody's desk behind a big IP, and that was running the whole Tower Records by CD's online site.
The big leap for me in terms of, watching it was bringing on John McAdam. What an incredible decision that was, and what a transformation for the company. It seemed like that was, it seemed like that was our turning point from, we are in big trouble to, okay, now we're all of a sudden, turning into a really great, viable company, and that was great to see. I thought that was a really neat turning point.
The F5 name itself came from really nothing more sophisticated or crazy than one night a couple of the founders went to go see the movie Twister. And of course, F5 being the strongest type of tornado on the Fujita scale, which is something that I learned when I joined F5. They just came out and said, yeah, F5, that's the most powerful, and we'll call the company that. Beer Friday was something that just started with a 6-pack in the fridge when we had our first office over on 3rd and University.
We would go to the store and bring back huge numbers of bottles of beer, cans of beer. And we bought our first kegerator because the recycling of all those bottles and cans was impossible. I would end up taking them over to Duke's, which was next door across the parking lot, and they would recycle them for us. So Brett Helsel made a good suggestion that we bought a kegerator.
You may start out in one position, but there's always opportunities to really reach out and do a variety of things. So I may have started as a marketing specialist, but rapidly I was able to do logos and design and software interface, trade show events, and it was really fun.
The company and the employees, I feel, that we hire are as passionate today as we were back then as a startup, basically. I know I wake up every day and I want to come to work, actually, because I feel very passionate about the company and the technology, and there's so much headroom for growth. And yeah, that's why we're the leaders in our space.